Hi everyone, my name is Bengisu, and in this presentation I'll be talking about our work titled An Eye Tracking Analysis of Conversational Violations in Dyadic and Collaborative Interactions. This was a part of my master's thesis with my advisor, Acarturk. In social interactions and daily conversations, people might violate conversational principles from time to time. For example, this could be by giving an irrelevant response or by oversharing information. As a response, gaze or nonverbal gestures are some modalities that might be correlated with the types of conversational violations. In a collaborative task setting, where one person gives the instruction and the other one follows, conversational violations might cause confusion or failure to correctly complete a task. The motivation of our work was to explore how people respond to conversational violations in a collaborative task setting, and through eye tracking analysis, we aim to have a better understanding of how gaze and conversational violations relate to each other. Specifically in my work, we contextualize our task within a Lego building task and ask the following research questions. How do conversational violations affect gaze patterns and visual exploration? Do the violations cause a shift of gaze out of the task area? Do personality traits affect this visual exploration pattern? Secondly, how do conversational violations influence task performance? Here I'll talk about the background of our work. Our work was related to the following research areas: linguistic frameworks, linguistic utterances and gaze in conversational settings, flexibility and subjectivity of the interpretation of communication. I'll give a quick background on the literature within the first two domains. Our work was based on the linguistic framework proposed by Grice, which suggests the following conversational maxims that should be followed to maintain cooperation. First, the maxim of quantity is the quantity of the provided information should not be more than required. The maxim of quality means that the provided information should be correct and evident. The maxim of relation means that the provided information should be relevant. And finally, the maxim of manner means that the provided information should be clear, non-ambiguous, brief, and orderly. Related works in this domain highlight findings that suggest correlations between detecting conversational violations in eye movements, personality measures, and task performance. In this section, I'll present the methodology that I followed for the design study. We recruited 17 participants for our study and measured their eye movements with the eye tracker Tobii Glasses 2, and we also measured the personality traits of the participants and conducted semi-structured interviews at the end of the study. The study design included a total of 24 Lego building tasks, which was divided into 6 sets of 4 tasks each. Each task had 3 instructions, where one of the instructions violated a cooperative principle. The instructions were structured to include information about the color, the shape, and the order of placement. The Legos were presented to the participants as seen in the figure on the right. In the next couple of slides, I will show 4 example interaction videos that demonstrates each maxim violation and how the tasks were structured. This first video demonstrates the maxim of quantity violation, where the instruction, specifically the first instruction, includes excessive amount of information. So let's watch the video and narrate what's going on. As the first instruction, the participant is instructed to pick up the Lego that is gray on all sides, that is square-shaped, has 4 bumps on the top, that is smooth on the sides, and empty on the bottom. The participant picked that up, and next they were instructed to pick up the square-shaped blue Lego and place the first piece on the left of the second piece on the platform. The participant completed this task, but as you might have realized, the first instruction was violating the maximum of quantity. The second task demonstrates a maximum of quality violation where the instruction includes incorrect information about the color of the piece. For example, the red color of pieces do not exist in the available set. So in the video that you will see, the participant will be first instructed to pick up a red and square-shaped Lego, which is happening right now, but the participant ignores that, and the second instruction is to pick up the square-shaped white Lego. The participant picks that up, and then the third instruction was to place the pieces on the top right of the platform. So the task is completed, however, there are some discrepancies due to the maximum of quality violation. This third task demonstrates a maximum of relation violation where one of the instructions is unrelated to the task itself. So this will be instruction 1 that violates the maximum of relation. Specifically, the participant is instructed to tell the 8th letter of the alphabet. So the participant follows that instruction, counts to the 8th letter, and tells that letter. And then the second instruction was to pick up the square-shaped green Lego. And the third instruction was to place the piece on the bottom right of the platform, which again, the participant completes the task. However, there was some discrepancy again about the maximum of relation violation. Finally, this task demonstrates a maximum of manner violation where the instruction is ambiguous to the participant. So the violated instruction number 1 says pick up the green one. There, as you can realize, there's a green square and a green rectangle. The participant decides to pick them up both. And then the second instruction was to pick up the square-shaped gray Lego. The participant also picks that up. And then the third instruction was to put the first piece under the second piece on the platform. This participant decided to combine both green-shaped Legos, both the square and the rectangle, and then combine them together and then put the second gray Lego on top of it. As you can see, again, at some form this task was completed. However, this ambiguity that was presented at the very beginning as the first task has caused some variation in how participants approached these tasks. So for the data analysis, I manually annotated the starting and ending time points for each task and instruction. We also manually annotated dynamic areas in 4 sections, including the person area, that is giving the tasks, the task area where the participant is interacting with the pieces, and peripheral areas, which is one on the right and one on the left. In the analysis, we only focused on the person and the task area measures that I'll be presenting soon. Secondly, we conducted a qualitative data analysis and through the semi-structured interview transcripts and also through the participant video recordings, which helped us identify how participants responded to all the violations that were presented to them. Here I'll start presenting the results. We conducted a one-way ANOVA to compare the means between the violation types and the means between the task areas. Both measures were found to be significantly different from each other. Specifically, participants looked to the person, to the violator, longest when a maximum of relation violation occurred. Also, participants spent most of their time in the task area when a maximum of quantity violation occurred. For the response durations, the violation type had a significant effect on the response time. Participants spent longer durations when responding to instructions that violated the quantity maximum. And task performance was not correlated with any personality measures, unlike what we were expecting from prior work. The qualitative analysis highlighted some really interesting and unexpected results from the study. Specifically, when users encountered an instruction that violated the maximum of quality, which included an incorrect information about the color or the shape, half of the participants responded by selecting an alternative piece, which we call the adaptive group. and the other half responded by skipping the task or maybe faking a movement without picking up a piece. We called these participants as the non-adaptive group. However, there were no correlations that we could find that would explain a reason behind this behavior. We just had a couple of qualitative insights into that. Here I'll show an example video that demonstrates the adaptive and non-adaptive responses. In this video, the instruction violates the maximum of quality by indicating the participant to pick up the pink square Lego, which again, the pink colored square Lego does not exist, and the participant explains that it does not exist, and they pick up the closest piece that's similar to the color of pink, and they explain that this color is brown. So right now the participant is explaining their ideation, and then they decide to pick up the brown colored Lego. When we asked about their reasoning behind their responses to these unexpected instructions, participants said that they interpreted the instruction based on their perceptions and adapted their response by completing the task in a semi-related way. Participants who employed this adaptive response stated that they really didn't think much about it. They interpreted the instruction and generally preferred the most relevant pieces to the original instruction. For example, this could be a similar color or similar shape. In the second group, in this non-adaptive response example, participants that encountered the same instruction that violates the maximum of quality, this group of participants just they explained that this piece does not exist, and then they decide to skip the task. So when we asked them about their reasoning behind their responses, they said so their responses to the instructions with maximum violations, the participants stated that they either ignored or skipped the instruction, and they generally expressed that they ignored the instruction because the required piece did not exist. So here we can see that the participant receives a non-existing instruction, and then the participant looks confused, and then they say that piece does not exist and ignores the task. The key findings responding to each research question can be summarized as below. So, how do conversational violations affect gaze patterns and visual exploration? In the maximum of relation violations, participants gaze towards the person, the violator. In the maximum of quantity and quality violations, participants gaze mostly in the task area. However, like we mentioned, personality measures did not have a significant effect on gaze patterns. Secondly, how did conversational violations influence task performance? Participants spent more time on tasks when instructions violated the maximum of quantity and quality, and participants spent less time on tasks when instructions violated the maxims of relation and manner. And also, some users gamified the task when instructions violated the maximum of quality. Although we do not know why participants prefer this approach, it might be due to the desire to have high task performance and maybe even trick the instructor to redeem themselves as successful. The study has multiple potential future directions. For example, findings from the study can be extended to future work to investigate conversational violations in more collaborative tasks. Secondly, maybe this could be applied in conversational agents domain, and the collected eye tracking data can be used to maybe train machine learning algorithms to predict conversational violations from gaze patterns. And future studies can be conducted to investigate the reasoning of adaptive and non-adaptive responses to the maximum of quality violations. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening, and I can take any questions you have.